The films open with a period of dawn scenes. It was seeing a night vision and a storyline of an ancient period in a village where a person was showing who was asking for help, and those who did not help him turned them into werewolves. Now, these wolves are roaming around all over the villages and going to hunt their predators. And what's next? The sound of a phone strikes me. A phone call interrupts a frightening real-life scenario unfolds. We then see that some group of people, a family, is playing a game called Werewolves, a role-play game where, by the night, they all have to find the werewolves and kill them with their powers. In short, it is a role-playing game where the designated person gives each player a card that states the role. This is a game Jerome used to play, and he still hopes his family will join. Jerome asked her father if he remembered anything, and he said no. And we then understood that he has some Alzheimer's problem. He needs help remembering the rules he set up. Jerome provides for each family member. He was setting a rule that in the game, Clara is a little girl, Theo is a thief, and making vivid about the theme, but the children and everyone get busy and stop the game. However, it did not show what Mary and Louise got. It was showing a strange golden ray coming out from the board game. When Jerome locked the game board, a strange thing occurred and everything shook. An earthquake occurred. When everyone is in a panic mood, they all occur in their basement. The light in the basement was also turned off. The whole place was in darkness, and the earthquake stopped right afterward. However, Clara was not there. With the help of a leader, they climb up and get all of them out of the darkness and figure out the area in another place. What is more shocking? The house was also different. In search of Clara, they entered the house hoping she would be there. The house decoration they were living in was the opposite. The house they are in is old. A huge panic and confusion was running through everyone's body. Abruptly, Marie stopped everyone and said, "Maybe the village people have done this and organized it in such a way." Gilbert added, "How is this even possible in 30 seconds? Mary forces everyone into the village and looks for Clara. The scene shifts to the family walking by the village ally. They all entered a place where everybody was dressed in 15th century attire. Everyone's one goal was to look for Clara by hook or crook. Mary sees that Jerome and Gilbert are seeing one poster, and he is angry because someone is using their surname and asks one of the girls about the owner. She stated, "By ear? Do you mean the captain?" He is chopping off someone's head. We then see that the captain is giving a speech that he has caught werewolves, and in front of everyone he chopped his head. After seeing this view, Jerome and his family got scared and ran away. The captain's eyes catch on them too. They all get scared and get back to that house. The shocking part is that Gilbert can see that his memory is completely fine and can remember everything. Not only this, he has become much stronger, Clara is invisible, and Jerome can now read everyone's mind. While they were identifying their power, the captain knocked on their door. Asked each of them why they were there and what their intention was. I asked if they were related to that magician, and they all played along and agreed with him. Mayor said, "He is not our relative. We are resting in this house." The captain grabs and points a sharp knife at Theo's throat. Jerome pretends they belong to a musical gang and sings a song before the captain. Later that evening, some villagers were screaming and ringing a bell, telling all the villagers to sleep and go back to their homes as soon as possible, otherwise, werewolves would attack. In that old house, we see that they found that werewolf board. They all analyzed the situation. Moreover, at night, we see Carla. We can identify if she wears clothes, lit one candle, and sitting outside, heading forward to drink water. She could hear a noise, and in the darkness, she could sense that someone was standing in front of her, and it was none other than the werewolves. She ran and stood in front of a pillar, and the fire was extinguished at the end, and we could see a werewolf standing beside her. With the power of the reading mind, Jerome could sense, and Carla had already notified him that the werewolves were on the way to the house. When everyone got to know each other and got together, they discovered that Louise was not there. Jerome could hear a knocking on the door, and he opened the door very nervously and saw that Louise had come from outside. Jerome suspected that werewolves could come to take the place of Louise. Louise screams and says that she is not a werewolf. Even Gilbert also gets confused and thinks that she is Louise. Within a nanosecond, Louise turns into a werewolf and starts attacking everyone, and they manage to tighten it up. The scene shifts to the next morning, where the villagers say that the warehouse has attacked them again, and Louise returns to her normal form. Jerome kept some extra knives with him, dressed like 1,497 people, and went back to the marketplace. They all were acting like people back then. Theo tries to steal a leather bracelet and drops a sword. He immediately ran away, and the soldier tried to catch him. At the same time, we see that Marie and Jerome go to meet the magician by being a singer. However, the guard did not let him do so, and both were sitting idly. One woman came and offered them a piece of bread. They were talking about temporal paradoxes, meaning if they did something wrong in the past, the effect would be in the present. How will everyone handle the complex time frame and avoid an awful paradox? The family must tread carefully as they go farther into the past, striking a balance between the delicate nature of time travel and their attempt for the future. Every word and every action could have unexpected effects that could change the path of history and endanger their life. Clara comes and tells them about Theo using her mind. Abruptly, the soldier comes and says that he got to know everything when her mom was going to charge him. The soldier opens the bracelet and turns back to Theo. Like Maria, Clarla, and Jerome, we all are confused, right? With the help of that bracelet, he can change himself into a soldier and can change shape. This is his power. Theo takes Maria to jail by being one of the guards. They both were looking for the magician and calling by his name. He was shouting and saying that he was not a magician. Marie tries to make him understand the situation, but he does not believe it. He said that 3 days before, a man came, and due to him, the werewolves were here and gave him the game. They all return to the house, look at the game, and figure out what they can do. Gilbert suggests they must kill 3 werewolves and return to 2024. He sensed that someone else was eavesdropping on their conversation, therefore, he instantly attacked the person standing behind him. He tied him to a chair and asked inquiries. He addresses him as Piero, and he is a scientist as well as a researcher. He was saying that the villager hates him. Jerome's mind read and figured out that he is homosexual. Furthermore, they untied him and tried to create a bond. Piero was trying to help and was making a substance like rubber to make Clarla visible again. Clara got into the huge substance, and it was correct that she was back to normal. Now we can see her but do not get her voice. Clara puts on a necklace, Coker type. As soon as she puts it on, she can talk. Piero made everything. Her body is much more rubbery, and she can pull it back. The full family returned to the marketplace again, and this time everyone, all the villagers, was staring at them and gossiping because Clara was a black woman. A villager stops by and rudely asks where she is. Clarla, rather than straightforwardly answering questions, gives answers very confidently and with glamour. Everyone seeing her was agitated. We can see a ring, and a guy announces, "Captain has grabbed another werewolf. Let's go together in the palace." We can see that tons of people have gathered there. Captain announced earlier we did 1 burden, and that guy was innocent. Then he shouts and says that he is sure this woman is a werewolf. The captain said that you have been 17th, no one wants to marry you, and you are very weird. The villager agrees and says to kill her. As her head was going to be chopped, the axe got broken. The sun was about to set as well. The woman turned into a wolf while figuring out the sun had already set. The screams of fear were all over the air. Everyone was running wherever they could go. Captain was fighting with the wolf. We see that a kid is standing, and her mother is looking for him, and Gilbert notices this. Now, he cannot be unseen. Therefore, he goes to save the boy. Gilbert pushed the crowd, and his focus was only on the boy. Gilbert comes closer to the boy, and the werewolf is there too. Abruptly, an arrow comes and hits that wolf's body, and it falls to the ground and gets back to the woman-formed body. The captain bowed the arrow. The son meets his boy. Gilbert was shocked. He looked closer to her body and saw a card on her hand, and he kept it. Gilbert was pretty happy and went to his family to share this news. Standing there now, Louise turned into the wolf cub and ran into the crowd. Everyone was anxious and tried to look at her. Gilbert gives his full strength, puts a sack bag on Louise's werewolf cub version, and gets her back home. Theo informs his parents, and Jerome goes back to look for Clara. At the moment, Clara was found by her father, but wolves surrounded them. Clara got into her invisible form and distracted all the wolves there. One wolf got trapped, and one soldier was about to kill that wolf, but someone in a hood beat the soldier instead of purposefully saving the wolf and letting the wolf proceed. Who is this hooded person? The scene shows at the house, where everyone has opened that board game and put 1 card, which Gilbert found from the werewolves who fainted with a woman's hand. As soon as the card fits, a red light comes around. However, they all are thinking about what they will do next to find their next werewolf card. Clara grabbed everyone's attention and pointed at Louise, who is now a baby werewolf, all tied up. She is saying that there is a hint for all the wolves. Clara then clarifies that the people who are shaped like wolves, their teeth, hair, and cheeks stay as the person, even if they turn into wolves. This is a huge hint, and it will help them to find the cards more easily. Moreover, Clara added that she saw the wolves closer. Clara says, "Tomorrow we will go into the village, find the wolves, and kill them like this. They will easily get the cards." Everyone agrees with her, and she gives all the instructions and hints. The hints were that the one who is a leader is a woman with white hands, which means an older woman. Second, it is a man whose leg is fat. Now, it will be easy for them to find. Like the hint, everyone goes to their mansion to look for the wolves by utilizing their power. Everyone was vividly putting their eyes on everyone. With her smelling power, Louise and Gilbert were searching for the wolves. After interrogating the suspects in the market, Louise looks at a person who is limping, and the smell gets strong, They understand that this man is a werewolf. Gilbert told her to go and announced it to the other, and he went to catch him. Meanwhile, Mary suspects a woman and directly charges her that she is a werewolf. Mary says as she got stained in her dress, it means that she is the one. Later, the woman laughed and said that this was her blood because her husband beat her. Hearing this makes her angry, and she directly goes to close her husband. She tries to manage him not to beat her, and while talking, Marie mistakenly utters the word divorce, which makes a priest angry. Mary then tried to unhear the words and divert them, and she said that she would write her name and address. This indicates that she is educated back then. It was a sin for women to be educated. This makes the village more concerned about her and thinks she is a witch. The scene shifts to the jail, where Mary is behind a bar. Captain comes and tells her that Jerome has come, and she has only 5 minutes. Jerome says that she is going to burn alive. With the help of mind reading, she tells them to go and run away without him, but obviously, Jerome does not agree with it. She says that he has to do this because of the children he has. On the same evening, with a very heavy heart, everyone was sitting. Gilbert comes from the outside, places the second card on the board, and says they have the second card too. When he got to listen to Mary, everyone went blank. Clara, with hope, said that they would not leave the place without her mother. They all will take her. As they find the second card, despite a terrible situation, hope arises because of Jerome's appeal to Piero and Clara's resolve to rescue Mary, which creates a bond and a shared goal to face future obstacles. Jerome. In the middle of the night, we can see that he is going to Piero's place. With a very hopeful voice, Jerome said that he required help. The next day, we see Marie taken on the captain's palace stage. There were hundreds and hundreds of villagers present there. The captain again announced, "Today we are going to burn the magician and the witches." The magician, who they interpret as Gilbert's ancestor. He further added that by doing so, their village will be purified from their curse. Then the captain talked about their last sentence, in which Marie declared an inspiring speech about women's equality, that we will not be a burden and must fight for our rights. No one tries to believe in her, as it is the period. The captain orders them to light them up, and while doing so, Jerome stops him and requests that he sing the last song. He appears with 1,497 of an amplifier. He begins to sing, grabbing everyone's attention. Those were present there, and everyone enjoyed themselves. Clara, being invisible, goes there and finds the right moment, releases both of their hands, and leaves the stage at the right moment. The captain could understand Jerome pushed his guitar to stop singing and ran away. The whole village was running to catch him, and the captain ordered him to throw all 3 arrows. Marie-Louise, Theo, Gilbert, and Clara on the horse car. Piero and Jerome were on the roadside waiting for them. Finally, he could see them and hugged them tightly. Piero suggests they go to the church, because the captain and the villagers are behind them. Piero had made a secret tunnel under the base, accessible with a code. Firstly, he was saying it in a riddled manner. Everyone yells at him, and she says 316. Hearing this right after, they quickly run to the church's basement. Piero also stated that they all have to pull a lever for light. Gilbert opened the door to a dark church, and everyone entered individually. Clara then locked the door too with wooden logs. Jerome somehow finds the lever and pulls it up. A hidden route to salvation was made visible by the ancient church's flashing fires. One by one, fires got on one by one, and the whole place was filled with light, making the view much more aesthetic. An important turning point in their group effort was the finding of a hidden lever and lighting of the church, which demonstrated their unity and resolve and created a sense of excitement for future missions. Marie orders Theo to take Louis to a safer place, and Jerome suggests she wear headphones. Gilbert asked where to include the codes, but no one knew. However, they all indulged in finding the code and the place where to use it. Everyone was rubbing their hands on the statue walls to figure out and have a hint. Theo somehow takes her to a safer place, gives her headphones and switches on some music to play on her headphones. After a long search, Clara finds a design on the floor indicating the secret tunnels. Jerome, Clara, and Marie stand in each corner. Additionally, there was a code system to insert in each corner. However, they dialed 3, 1, and 6 on each. While dialing the number, we could hear some groaning sounds coming from somewhere. The groaning sound gets too loud, everyone steps back and looks all over the place with their hearts pounding. Suddenly, from the ceiling, something big dropped right on the tunnel. They have dialed the numbers in. There was lots of dust all over. Amid the dust, they saw that it was none other than a large werewolf. These werewolves were coming towards them. Marie told the children to hide, but Theo, Gilbert, and Clara came forward and changed themselves with their power, ready to fight. All 5 of them were ready to fight. The wolf groaned more and started to hit them, pushing everyone. This wolf was much more powerful, and no one could stay longer with their power. The moment was becoming much more intense when the captain stepped in. Everyone was happy and aspired to live and get rid of the werewolf, but the biggest twist is revealed here. Instead of pointing the arrow at the werewolf, the captain pointed the arrow at Theo. He The captain was pointing at them. The captain tells them that he cannot do this. If the werewolf dies, he will die too. Tragically, his opponent turns out to be the captain's wife. He has the power of Cupid, which means if she dies, he dies too. The captain was trying to catch other werewolves to save him and his wife. This wolf is none other than his wife, and by realizing this, he bows an arrow at Jerome. His father grabbed it, and the wolf became hyper. So he slapped Gilbert and became wilder. Captain's wife is about to attack Marie and Jeffrem, and at this moment, Louise is here saying that her iPad charge runs off, and she immediately turns into a wolf cube. Louise became more aggressive and was roaring. Marie and Jerome try to make her claim by singing some songs and making her remember who she is on the inside. When she could figure it out and understood, she turned back to the massive wolf and attacked her. Louise was little, but her power was much more strengthful. Moreover, she attacked the massive wolf with her hands very aggressively. Not only this, she was also beating the captain. Jerome, Marie, and everyone were cheering for Louise to encourage power so little Louise could fight with the werewolf. Of course, the older one is much stronger than her, and she pushes her against the wall, and Louise falls. As she leaned down, we saw in her hand there was one card present, indicating Louise is no more. Jerome holds her tightly. Emotions are roller coasting, and we can see that the massive wolf is behind Jeffrome. A strong blue comes on their faces, and when both of them, Jerome and the massive wolf, look there right, unexpected things occur. They cannot believe their own eyes. We then see that Marie is floating above, with many blue rays. On her face, it was clearly shown the anger and revenge. It is popping out. She then pointed her hands at the massive hands and a large purple color light, as if electricity was hitting the massive wolf. We see that Marie puts all her strength into inhaling all the power and abilities of the massive wolf. She then lifted her other hand and put on Louise's body. A miracle occurred, and Louise opened her eyes. In a crying tone, Jerome said, "I'm here." My child Marie runs toward them and asks if she is okay or not. A very joyful moment and happiness filled their hearts. They both hugged and kissed Louise. Marie hugged Louise tightly and cried. This tear was the happiness of getting Louise back. It is seen that Clara gets back to visible, and on her, Theo, Gilbert's hands cards are shown up. Marie said she also had power like everyone else, but there was no right time to apply. Theo is saying, "We own." The scene shows Gilbert's ancestor, and all of them there the next morning. They were saying goodbye, and Piero said it was time to return to his home. He finally said his full name, Leonardo da Vinci Piero. After hearing this, Jerome whispers to his father's ancestor and says to purchase all the paintings and everything. They intend to purchase Leonardo da Vinci's works of art, a legacy to be preserved for future generations. Finally, it was a goodbye for all of them. Jerome and his family hold the board game, enter all the cards, and lock it up for the final result. As Jerome turns the lock, we can see everyone lying under the sky. When Jeffrem opened his eyes, he found out a soldier was standing before them. He then pushed Marie. When Marie saw this, she said, "Doomed. We are still here." Then the soldier's phone rang, and they looked here and there that they were in the right place. In 2024, everyone was hugging each other. The soldier asks them if they are participating in the fancy fair. He said not to wear these kinds of clothes and went from there. They were not bothered by what he said, but were very happy. Gilbert, who was again having Alzheimer's problem and feeling very weak, he was saying that he cannot remember anything. Jerome opened a letter from his father. He had written this in 1497 to give him this as they returned. In his writing, he expresses his feelings toward them and says he is happy because they are here, but only for a few days. He needs to remember everything, even small things. It was a feeling of gratitude to have spent time normally again. The letter also contains everything Gilbert remembers about his life and hopes his son can tell all about it at some point. One day will surely come. He will lose his memory if he wants them to meet him. Jerome and his family later went to a painting studio. Louise comes and says that she makes her grandpa understand all the painting. At the photo studio, they see that the Mona Lisa picture looks like Jerome. If you enjoyed this recap, then please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, turn on the notification bell, and share the video for more awesome movie recaps. Thank you for watching.